News from Hollywood this weekend after Paul Walker, who began acting as a child, then starring in the Fast and Furious films, dying in a car crash.
Paul Walker's story didn't start in Hollywood glamour. He was born on September 12, 1973, in Glendale, California, into a simple, hard-working family. His father, Paul Walker Sr., was a construction foreman, and his mother, Cheryl, was a former model. The family lived in a small house tucked into a quiet neighborhood, raising 5 kids on a tight budget. Even as a child, Paul loved the ocean. During a family camping trip to Leo Carrillo Beach when he was just 4, he fell completely in love with the waves. His parents noticed that spark in him, and soon the beach became their regular weekend escape. That early connection with nature and water would stay with him forever. At 6 years old, fate gave him an unexpected turn. A talent scout noticed Paul throwing a tantrum in a store and suggested he try acting. Within weeks, he was appearing in a Pampers commercial, earning more money than his family ever expected. By the time he turned 10, Paul had already appeared in more than 200 commercials. Despite the growing fame, his life at home was far from easy. His parents' marriage was falling apart due to money problems and stress. They eventually divorced when Paul was just a young teen. Even with fame knocking on the door, Paul experienced pain and confusion behind the camera. He found peace in nature and sports, especially surfing. This early struggle between fame and family would shape the kind of man he became. Someone who loved the spotlight but never wanted to lose his sense of reality. By the time Paul reached high school, he had already tasted success but was unsure if acting was what he truly wanted. He enrolled at Village Christian School, where he focused more on marine biology than acting. His dream was to work with animals and protect the ocean he loved so much. He once wrote in his yearbook, "I'd rather protect one seal than sign one autograph." That line said everything about who he really was. A man who cared deeply for life beyond fame. After graduation, Paul tried living a normal life. He worked as a pizza delivery guy and even applied for jobs at national parks. But money was tight, and acting opportunities kept calling him back. Eventually, he landed small roles in TV shows like The Young and the Restless and Highway to Heaven. These early experiences taught him about hard work and resilience. In 1998, Disney offered him a lead role in Meet the Deedles, his first big movie. Even though the film didn't do well, Paul's charm and natural charisma caught attention. He soon appeared in Varsity Blues and The Skulls, proving he could handle serious roles. His passion for acting was real, but so was his need for authenticity. He didn't want to be a typical Hollywood actor. He wanted to do his own stunts, learn new skills, and make every role feel honest. He once said that acting was just something he did, but being out in nature made him feel alive. That balance between thrill and peace became the heartbeat of his life. And later, his legacy. Everything changed for Paul Walker in 2001 when he landed the role of Brian O'Connor in The Fast and the Furious. The movie was an unexpected hit, blending car culture, action, and heart. Paul's natural energy and connection with cars made him the perfect fit. He wasn't just acting. He really loved driving fast, understanding engines, and learning how cars worked. In real life, he was a skilled racer and car collector. The first film earned over $200 million worldwide and turned Paul into an international star. But while the fame was exploding, Paul stayed humble. He didn't let success change him. When asked about his growing stardom, he once said, "I'm just a surfer who got lucky." Over the years, Paul became the face of the Fast and Furious franchise alongside Vin Diesel. They built a brotherly bond both on and off screen. His performance brought heart and humanity to a world full of speed and adrenaline. He even helped design some of the cars used in the movies, especially the Nissan Skyline GTR R34. His personal favorite. Despite earning millions, Paul lived modestly. He often donated to marine research projects and conservation programs without telling anyone. What people saw on screen was only a glimpse of who he was. Behind every race and every scene, there was a man who cared more about people and the planet than about fame and fortune. Away from Hollywood lights, Paul Walker was a man of surprising compassion and adventure. He loved challenges, from skydiving to scuba diving, and from martial arts to surfing massive waves. But what made him truly special was his generosity. Many people never knew about his secret acts of kindness. One famous story revealed that Paul once overheard a young soldier and his fiancée struggling to afford an engagement ring. After they left the store, Paul quietly bought the $9,000 ring for them and asked the jeweler to tell the couple it was discounted. They didn't discover the truth until years later, after Paul had passed away. His giving nature went even further. He personally funded shark research, marine conservation, and natural disaster relief missions. In 2010, when Haiti was struck by a devastating earthquake, Paul didn't just send money. He flew there himself with a team of doctors and rescuers, bringing chainsaws and medical kits. He founded Reach Out Worldwide, a non-profit that helped people in disaster zones long before most celebrities even knew about it. He never wanted attention for his generosity. He just wanted to help. His close friends often said he felt happiest when he was helping others or being near the ocean. These quiet acts showed that behind the fame was a man of true empathy and strength. One who lived with purpose, not just passion. Despite his image as a calm, humble, and down-to-earth guy, Paul's personal life was far more complicated than people realized. He never got married, though he had several long-term relationships. The most talked-about part of his private life was his relationship with much younger women. Paul's girlfriend at the time of his death, Jasmine Pilchard Gosnell, was only 16 when they started dating, while Paul was in his early 30s. Their relationship raised many eyebrows, but they stayed together for nearly 7 years. There were also earlier reports of similar age gap relationships, which sparked controversy even after his passing. Paul himself once admitted that he wasn't ready to settle down when he was younger. He said he loved freedom and didn't want to be tied to one lifestyle or one person. Still, he deeply loved his daughter, Meadow Rainwalker, who was born in 1998. Meadow lived with her mother in Hawaii for many years before moving in with Paul in 2011. Friends said that fatherhood changed him completely. He became more responsible, more grounded, and happier than ever. His bond with Meadow became the center of his life. Even though his relationships with women often made headlines, it was his connection with his daughter that defined him. He wanted to be a better man for her, and that promise gave him a sense of peace and direction in his later years. On November 30th, 2013, tragedy struck that left the world in disbelief. Paul Walker, only 40 years old, was killed in a car crash in Santa Clarita, California. He was attending a charity event for his foundation, Reach Out Worldwide, which was raising funds for typhoon victims in the Philippines. Paul and his friend, Roger Rodas, took a short drive in Roger's Porsche Carrera GT, a powerful but dangerous car. Just minutes later, the car lost control, crashed into a light pole and trees, and burst into flames. Both men died instantly. The news spread across the world, shocking millions of fans and friends. Some people refused to believe it was real. There were even wild conspiracy theories claiming he faked his death or was targeted for something deeper. But investigations later confirmed it was a tragic accident caused by high speed and old tires. The loss hit his Fast and Furious family especially hard. Vin Diesel, his co-star and close friend, was devastated. Production on Furious 7 was stopped for months. When it resumed, Paul's brothers, Cody and Caleb, helped complete his remaining scenes using digital effects. The movie became a tribute to Paul's life, ending with the emotional song, "See You Again." Audiences around the world cried, not just because of the film, but because they were saying goodbye to a man who had touched their hearts far beyond the screen. Even after his death, Paul Walker's impact continues to grow. His daughter Meadow inherited his entire $25 million estate at the age of 15. Guided by her family, she later founded the Paul Walker Foundation, focusing on ocean conservation, marine biology education, and youth development, all causes close to her father's heart. Meadow has also supported her father's charity, Reach Out Worldwide, ensuring his humanitarian spirit continues to save lives. Paul's brother Cody now leads the organization, joining rescue missions across the globe, from earthquake zones in Nepal to tornado-hit towns in the United States. The cars Paul once owned have become part of history, too. In 2020, 21 of his vehicles were auctioned for more than $2.3 million, with proceeds supporting his foundation and charities. Fans around the world still celebrate his birthday every year with car meets and tributes. For many, Paul Walker wasn't just an actor. He was a symbol of kindness, adventure, and authenticity. He showed that you can live fast but still have a big heart. In his short life, he managed to do what many never could: inspire people to be real, to give back, and to find joy in both speed and stillness. Behind Paul Walker's love for fast cars and ocean waves was a deeply spiritual man. He wasn't the type to talk about religion openly, but those close to him said he often spent long hours reflecting on life's meaning. Paul believed in a higher power and thought that everything happened for a reason. He once said in an interview, "If one day the speed kills me, don't cry, because I was smiling." Those words, meant as a joke, became hauntingly prophetic after his death, but they also showed his acceptance of life's unpredictability. Paul wasn't afraid of danger. He was afraid of not living fully. He often spoke about how temporary fame could be, and how real peace came from doing what you love and helping others. While working on Fast 5, Paul spent several nights camping near the beaches of Rio de Janeiro with local fishermen instead of staying in luxury hotels. He loved to learn about other people's lives and cultures. Friends recalled that he'd sit by the fire, watching the stars, talking about destiny and how small we are compared to the universe. His conversations weren't about Hollywood gossip, but about the mysteries of life. That spiritual depth separated him from many in the entertainment world. He also believed in karma, that what you give comes back to you. That belief drove him to do good quietly. He wasn't after recognition or awards. He once told a friend, "Doing something kind is worth it even if nobody knows." This way of thinking gave him peace, even when facing personal struggles or media criticism. It's this peaceful and humble outlook that made him so beloved. He wasn't trying to be perfect. He was just trying to be good. Despite his calm and confident appearance, Paul Walker struggled with loneliness and pressure throughout his life. Fame, though exciting, came with expectations he never asked for. He disliked the idea of being treated like a celebrity. In many interviews, he admitted that acting wasn't his lifelong dream. It was something he did to support his family and fund his passions. He said, "If I wasn't acting, I'd be somewhere in the ocean studying sharks or helping rebuild coral reefs." That statement revealed his inner conflict, a man divided between his public life and his private dreams. There were times when Paul felt trapped by his success. After The Fast and the Furious became a global hit, he found it hard to live normally. Fans followed him everywhere. Strangers knocked on his door just to take pictures. Even though he appreciated their love, he missed being anonymous. To escape, he often took spontaneous trips to places like Fiji or Costa Rica, where he could surf and live simply without being recognized. He also faced guilt for being away from his daughter, Meadow, during her early years. Acting schedules and international shoots often kept him away for months. He tried to stay in touch, sending her video messages and photos. When she finally moved in with him in 2011, he called it the happiest day of my life. Yet, he often worried that he wouldn't have enough time to make up for the years he missed. That guilt made him work harder to be present, canceling roles just to spend time at home. Sadly, just as life seemed to find its balance, tragedy struck, reminding the world that even those who seem strongest carry their silent burdens. After Paul's passing, Hollywood came together in mourning like never before. Thousands of fans visited the crash site in Santa Clarita, leaving flowers, candles, and photos. Car enthusiasts organized massive gatherings around the world, revving engines in his honor. His Fast and Furious family, especially Vin Diesel, Tyrese Gibson, Michelle Rodriguez, and Ludacris, were heartbroken. Vin Diesel famously called Paul "my brother both on and off screen." During his emotional speech at the crash site, he said, "He was so much more than you ever knew." Filming Furious 7 became a healing process for everyone. The crew decided to continue, not as a movie project, but as a tribute. Paul's brothers, Caleb and Cody, stepped in to help finish his scenes. Advanced CGI technology allowed the film to recreate Paul's face and expressions with stunning accuracy. When the movie finally premiered in 2015, audiences around the world cried during the final scene, when Brian O'Connor drives into the sunset as "See You Again" plays. The film didn't just end a story, it celebrated Paul's life and legacy. The song "See You Again," performed by Wiz Khalifa and Charlie Puth, became an anthem for loss, friendship, and remembrance. It topped charts globally and won multiple awards. For many fans, hearing the lyrics, "It's been a long day without you, my friend," still brings tears. Even years later, the song remains one of YouTube's most watched videos, a symbol of Paul's eternal presence. His co-stars continue to honor him, often posting photos and heartfelt messages on his birthday and the anniversary of his passing. The brotherhood he built in Hollywood didn't fade with time, it only grew stronger. Paul's love for cars wasn't just part of his movie persona, it was in his DNA. He owned one of Hollywood's most impressive private car collections, including rare models like the Nissan Skyline GTR, Toyota Supra, and Porsche 911 Turbo. But unlike many collectors, Paul didn't see cars as trophies. He saw them as works of art. He and Roger Rodas, his friend and business partner, founded Always Evolving, a performance shop and racing team. They used their cars to raise funds for charity events, auction drives, and youth programs. After his passing, many of his cars were auctioned, and the proceeds were donated to the causes he cared about. What surprised everyone was that even in death, Paul's belongings were still being used to help others, just as he would have wanted. His love for speed wasn't about showing off. It was about freedom, precision, and connection. When asked once what driving meant to him, he said, It's therapy. Out there, everything else disappears. Fans continue to celebrate that spirit through car meets, charity drives, and memorial races. Every year, people from all around